Hey everybody, thank you for being here to watch the video. I am here with the one and the only Tiffany, and she is here to help you all restore hope in the phrase business coaching. Because, especially in the online arena, a lot of us have our own stories to tell. But I had the pleasure of working with Tiffany. Actually, we've had the pleasure of working with each other. I have to do a video testimonial for you too, but that's not where we're going right now. But we're here to
talk. This is all about you, August
Crenshaw. Yes. I just couldn't help but bring it up because you're so freaking amazing. But we had the opportunity to work together, and I want you to talk about your experience because people need to know what's possible. So you can start, if you don't mind, with just kind of briefly letting people know where you were at in your business, what you were looking for, and what gave you the motivation to say, let me go ahead and jump this hurdle and decide to work with this woman.
So in full honesty, I was nowhere with my business other than having a conceptual idea of what I wanted to do. I've been teaching yoga for probably over 5 or 6 years now, and I, during that time, had transitioned into the energy healing arts. And I decided that I'm kind of ready to retire from my day job, and I want to start my own business. And I had all these ideas running through my head of how to get there, and felt like I was overwhelming myself, and I needed somebody to help rein me in. So I started down the process of looking into business coaching, and probably started looking into that back in January.
Okay.
And I believe it was April when I finally had the opportunity to meet you. We actually talked, but I mean, literally I had talked to several different companies about business coaching, and I just got to that point where it's like, what, maybe I'm approaching this all wrong. Maybe business coaching is not for me, because I just kept feeling like this was just really gimmicky. Like I had one particular lady that I had spoken with, and she's a very, very big name in the coaching arena. We were having a conversation one day, and she saw I have a little plaque that I have sitting on my desk that says Queen, and my husband has one on his desk that says King. And she saw that, and she was like, oh, that's a really interesting plaque. What is it for? So I was explaining to her that, my husband has the one that says King, but for me, it's all about showing up, in who I am, showing up in my true purpose, and showing up as the queen that I am. And she wrote in on that one word Queen, and everything she said to me in that conversation was all about, isn't that right, Queen? Are you sure, Queen? Every email she sent to me was, hello, Queen. And I was like, lady, I need you to really stop, because see, that was not even, that's just one piece of something that I think about on a daily basis. And you just attacked this one little thing you saw on my desk, thinking that it was something that was of huge significant importance to me. And it is minutely an important concept, but not the overall picture of what I was looking for and who I was. And so it came off really slimy to me, very gimmicky, and that was not what I was looking for. Plus, after I got through talking with her, and she hit me with this 3-month price tag of $25,000, and I'm like, what exactly am I getting for this $25,000? That I'm not even getting the person that I reached out to speak to initially. I'm getting one of her underlings, who I've never heard of before. That's not what I'm looking for, and especially not for $25,000. That's absolutely not. So that was just one. I had another one where they were based out of Arizona, and they wanted me to fly down to Arizona for 7 days for this training. The training was $15,000, and in 7 days time, not only would I have business coaching with them, I'd be a certified business coach. Well, I'm not trying to be a business coach, so why would I go through that training? And they kept trying to push it. Oh no, you don't understand that even in doing what you're doing, you're always a coach, and this translates to life coaching, and this translates to everything that you're doing. No, I don't think that it does. I think that's a totally different thing. I have, I work a full-time job. I'm very skilled at developing software. That's what I've been doing for 20 years. To me, that doesn't translate into being a business coach. Now, what I do from a holistic health, wellness, yoga, meditation perspective, yes, I can see coaching from a spiritual coach perspective, but I don't think that I require the same skill sets as somebody that I'm looking for as a business coach.
Wow, that was a mouthful, and unfortunately, it's a commonality in the coaching arena. The things where it's like, hey, I'm going to railroad you through a course, and then you're going to have all of these certifications and titles behind you. I'm going to charge you an exorbitant amount of money, and you're not even going to have access to me. And energy is important, which you know because you do energy work. What does it mean, for you and I to connect and to feel some kind of cosmic explosion for me to say, oh yeah, and by the way, there's Kim. And then to try to reinvent that. And that may not even be possible to reinvent that, and you won't get the dynamic. And then also the queen thing, it's so funny, and because I teach sales, I teach about people pouring out things to you so that you can use those things that they pour out in the sales process, but not from a manipulative standpoint of, oh, let me pull at her heartstrings and just say these things to make her feel like we're connected, to make her feel like she should move forward. That is a mouthful, and I knew a lot of the story, but I do feel like I got some more details that I hadn't heard before. So here,
here's a good comparison to what happened in that situation to what I've experienced with you. And I know we've talked about it, where I laughed and was like, okay, August Fisher, I'm gonna need you not to feed my shit back to me, but
woo, she told me
but in that moment, I couldn't do anything but laugh at, in that moment, what you were sharing with me and what you were telling me to do, because in my head, I'm thinking to myself, this would be me talking to somebody that I was having a spiritual coaching session with. And I'm like, damn it, she just gave it back to me. Hold on, wait a minute. No, don't do that. Don't do that. I knew better. It was definitely something that I knew better, and you caught me on my shit and made me face up to it. And that's what I needed from my business coach. I didn't need you to pull my heartstrings. I needed you to be in my face and be like, look, show up. That's what I needed. And that's what you did for me.
Thank you. And I appreciate that. And so let's talk about the transition. So after going through all of these coaching calls, then we finally collide in a free Facebook group challenge, and we hopped on a call and we did talk. And I know what that felt like to me, but you were pretty much, based on the way you communicated, I felt like you were sold on me and I was sold on you, because there was just some kind of energy between us immediately. But what was that thing that went through your spirit and your mind that says, yep, I'm going to work with her. I'm going to do this. Even if it wasn't for you starting right then at this program, you spoke to me from an affirmative place of one way or another, we're going to work together. So what was that defining moment for you?
It was I felt the honesty from you. I felt the authentic personality from you. I didn't feel as if at any point in time, not even in the free group that you had, that you ever BS'd me, and that's what I needed from anybody that I work with. And I think that's what anybody should be looking for, is that when you go into relationships and contracts with other people, that you're making sure that you're going through this completely clear about what you're getting into, and that you're dealing with somebody that's not going to feed you a bunch of BS and that's not going to follow through on what it was that they promised you. And I could tell from just that free group, everything that you poured into it over those several days that we were doing that live video challenge, that you were very passionate about what you did, that you were a leader in what it was that you were doing and what you were communicating and what you were delivering. And that I knew that when I worked with you, I was going to get that same level of attention that I did in just that live free group that you did. So it was definitely the honesty, the authenticity that really, I'm very much an in-your-face kind of a person. I like dealing with people that are in your face. I don't want to have to guess or try to figure you out along the way. I want to know that when I'm talking with you, day one, I'm getting the person that's showing up day one.
Absolutely. Okay, so we can kind of fast forward. You take the nesty plunge, you decide to join the group, you get in there, and when people say group coaching, the natural stigma is I'm about to be lost in the vortex of folks. That you're going to be somewhere, there's a lot of recordings, you got access to stuff. Maybe the coach would pop their head in there and give us a little something. How do you feel about your experience and the way that I serve? Because it was a different dynamic. Thank you for the observation of the way that I showed up in the free group. But it's definitely a different dynamic for clients that are actually in the paid atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it definitely was. I definitely didn't feel like I was lost in the group. I definitely felt that there was enough group time, but you also took the opportunity to step out of that and be like, hey, you would show up in my DMs or in my text messages or out me in the group, one-on-one video saying like, look, Tiffany, that's just what I'm going to give to you. This whole 10 minutes is all focused and devoted on you, what you ain't doing today. Or what you are doing well.
Thank you.
And I'm just messing with you. No, but no, you definitely were out there and you took the time to make sure that every person in that group had your undivided attention, as well as during those group times, you gave as much information as you could in our weekly group sessions, and then followed up several times throughout the week on the lesson that you taught. So if we had questions, if we had concerns, or we weren't figuring it out, or we got overwhelmed with it, you were like, look, hey, you're overthinking it. Break it down into small pieces. This is what just write this down. Let me show you this. I mean, there were times where you would go into that group and completely transform everybody's way of thinking. Like you would have given that training on Sunday, and by Tuesday, the group would be quiet. You'd be like, okay, I know something's going on because I haven't seen anybody in 2 days. What do y'all thinking? Something's happening here. Let me know. And somebody would be like, well, I'm kind of struggling with this. And you'd be like, okay, wait a minute. You'd come out on another video and you would sit down, and sometimes you'd pull one of us on there and you'd be like, look, you're overthinking it. Break it down into small pieces. And then you would just start firing off questions, and we would have to start answering these questions for you. We were like answering these questions like this, and you're like, hey, you got it. What are you thinking about that makes you think when you're not here talking to me that you can't do this? Because you can. And you would do that for us in real time. I think that was needed, necessary, and so important.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, once again, still talking about the group dynamic though. Let's take it off of me though, because once again, when we think about groups, we're also concerned, who's going to be in there? Am I going to like her? Is she going to get on my nerves? What about how everyone meshed in the group, and how did you just feel about the dynamic as a whole with all of you guys being in a place where you did have to get a little vulnerable, in order to be able to grow, because that one-to-one wasn't there. Every once in a while I creep off one-to-one with some of you guys, but how did that feel for you? What was that experience like?
Yeah, I think everybody that was in the group got along very well. And there was a lot of times where if you hadn't even jumped on yet to see something that somebody had posted, or one of our videos that we did live to ask questions or to do our little piece of the homework assignment, everybody else would just jump right in, and they would just start chiming in and giving us ideas or telling us what they thought or giving us suggestions. And that was amazing, because it was kind of like you had not really one coach, but you had your coach and a group of friends all like saying, yeah, girl, we got your back. We're helping you build this business from the ground up, and we're here to be your cheerleaders along the way. So that was absolutely wonderful. You got to see everybody grow phenomenally in the group, and you got to be there to celebrate their wins and their successes with them along the way. which was absolutely wonderful. I walked away even contracting work with somebody else in the group, which was something that I needed, that even through watching what everybody else's job was, what they were trying to get off the ground, what their business was, there were things that they were talking about that, as an energy healer, never would have even thought about that from a business perspective. Never even would have thought that, wow, you know what, I actually need that, until they started talking about what they were doing. And you're like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Oh, I think I need that. Hey, you know what? Let me DM her off the side. Girl, call me after this.
No, facts. True indeed. True indeed.
But, and not even just with the ladies in the group, the ladies that are outside of the group, some of your other clients that you've been working with for a couple of years now, even witnessing some of the things that they are doing, and seeing that, oh, there might be potential there for me to reach out to some of these other ladies at some point in time and do work with them as well. So you definitely stay engaged with your clients after the fact, and you kind of make sure that we're all aware of who everybody else is, so that if we need to network and to do business with other people that have a skill set that we don't have or that we need, you're building that network for us at the same time as you're working with us. And I think that's wonderful. I don't know other coaches that really put it out there like, hey, you know what? You have a plethora of women right here in this group that you can work with, and not only just manifest your business, but we're helping each other manifest and grow as well.
Absolutely. No, and that's something that's always been really important to me, because you reach, camaraderie, those are the things that make the difference between whether or not we are or are not successful. There's no such thing as this successful business owner that went out and did all of this stuff by themselves. And so when you can create a sisterhood and you can create a connection, you can accelerate your growth. And I love, even myself just saying this, I love the observation of one person saying, I got an insecurity. And then there's this domino effect, me too, me too, me too. And it's like, oh my God, we all feel like we crazy. We all feel like we all feel like this. And just to see the love and the compassion, the way you all grew together, the way you all stood up for each other, the way you loved on one another. And it did even more to me. I don't know if you guys realize that as a coach than it may have done for you guys. So I appreciate that. And you definitely, your spirit and what you do, that came out in the videos that you did, in the way that you responded. So everybody's personalities complimented the other women. And I want to just thank you for that, because you definitely were the voice of peace. You brought serenity and stillness to the group, which was often needed, that level of calm, because some women were going through higher levels of anxiety, at different times. And yeah, I was there at the helm, but the way that you all came there to the rescue for one another was absolutely beautiful. But so here you are, you're in the group. Yay, we love it. What were some of your wins? What are your accomplishments that you're most proud of for yourself?
Well, let me see. Well, let me tell you, it didn't take me that long to raise my prices. I definitely, I think it wasn't even like, I think week 2, it was like, oh yeah, let me double my price. I definitely,
because I want the people watching this video to know that. And the first comment was like, really? So just getting to know you, having a conversation. Hey, even if we don't work together, I just want to tell you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I was messing with those prices, and you could feel the restriction. But coming in, you were like, wait a minute. I do need to raise.
Yeah, I need to raise these prices.
I was so proud.
Well, and that was, here's the other thing that I believe kind of came out of us working together, is that with doing what I do, like doing yoga, teaching meditation, and being an energy healer is a complete contradiction to being a business owner. In every aspect, it's a complete contradiction, because everything about yoga, meditation, and energy healing is to release ego, let the ego go.
Right.
But to be a business owner, you have to have some ego to be able to say, you know what? Look, you're not going to get another energy healer like this right here.
Yes.
Trust and believe that I am all in this for you. And when you walk away from this space right here, you're going to feel like a different person.
Yes.
Now, I can't speak for any other energy healer. I can only speak for what you're going to feel when you walk out of this space. And in a yoga meditation world, that's ego. And that's like, that's me bragging on myself, right? Which is totally not supposed to do that. Mm-hmm. So there is that fine line of being a business owner and putting yourself out there and letting people know that you're out there and you're available to help and to assist them, and being this celestial earthly person over here off to the side. And you really kind of helped me to walk that line, because I did not want to be in a space where I felt like I was being inauthentic with how I operated.
Yeah.
And so, but still at the same time, you know, it is a business. You have to make money. You can't give your services, your time for free. You have to have boundaries. And so to be able to relate all of that and translate that back, you did a phenomenal job. I mean, you came, it's kind of funny because I know some of the conversations that we've had, you know, off the background about, you know, the aspect of religion and law of attraction. And I mean, we would have some conversations, be like 2 hours later, you'd be like, girl, look, bye. And I'd be like, hey, how did we end up here? I was trying to ask you a question that should have took 5 minutes. Why am I here 2 hours later? But I mean, we would go in and we would go hard on that. But like I said, that was something that I needed for a business coach to pull out of me. I don't know that I would have gotten that going any one of those other routes. I don't think that I would have been comfortable in showing up in this arena as a business owner, doing this with my belief systems about being, right? Yeah. And that there's space between being and allowing yourself to earn, allowing yourself to accept money for doing what it is that you do. But you got me there.
Thank you.
And that was, you know, important.
And that's a commonality that I see with regardless, transformational, healer, Reiki, whatever it is that you do. I see that all the time. It basically, you know, from the religious standpoint, it's taking your business and mixing it with ministry. And I see that all the time. I just look at people and it's like, okay, but you do realize that you're constantly spending money with people like me in certification programs and books that you're reading. You're constantly paying to be trained to become better at what you do. And then when it's time for them to charge, it's like, oh, no, but everybody should have this. And I'm like, yeah, but the people that want what you got, that ain't do what you did, got to pay for the access that you can immediately give them. And, you know, that and it's deeper than that, though, right? It is deeper than that. It's a conversation. And mindset wise, it's not enough just to throw someone in the program and say, okay, so this is how you price. Write this out. And after you've done all the calculations, this is what this should be. And this is what the market can bear. And this is how much you can extend it. Bam, slap a tag on it and just sell. But making sure that the conversations were there to truly understand who you are, what your belief system, what's your moral code, what's your moral compass, and then talking to someone and saying, oh, yeah, because I could turn around and work with another energy healer tomorrow that's like, I want to be a high ticket energy healer, and you have nice prices now, but they might want an extra zero behind that. And it's all about coaching people where they are. You know, nobody, you know, it's not about saying, oh, well, I see you like this and this is how much you can be charged. You can charge for this. And so this is what it can and it should be. A lot of that also had to do with, you know, where you saw yourself, what your future projections were for your business. And I had a lot of fun because you were very vulnerable about just everything, even if it was saying, don't throw my shit back at me. By the way, I'm letting you know, I know that's what you're doing. No matter what it was, and the other ladies were too, but you were very vulnerable with that. And the more you gave me, you know what I'm saying, then the more that I was able to say, oh, okay, see that maybe I shouldn't say this to her right now because this piece needs to
we had a lot of times where you're like, yeah, I wanted to have this conversation with you 3 weeks ago, but I didn't think you were ready yet.
When I asked this question, this is where I was going, but your response was like, no, right.
Yeah, we're gonna hold off on that. But you know, and I probably would have been completely wide open had you threw it at me in that moment. I would have been accepting of that. But you were talking about like the wins, because I still felt like that for me was a huge win, was being able to get to that point where, like I said, I doubled my prices. I got to that point where I felt okay with charging. Now, here's the thing about it is like I went from really not having a business, telling you I wasn't even launching my business or really starting my business until mid to late August, to you saying, why? Why are you waiting, girl? What's preventing you from doing it right now? What do you need right now to start your business today? And I'm like, well, nothing really. I mean, I just have all these things that I want to do first. Why? Don't you need money to do all those things? Get your business off the ground now so you can get the money you need to do all them things that you want to do. Don't that just make sense? And I'll be like, yeah, that just and so, but and here's the thing with that is, so I went from really just conceptual idea to like the whole idea of me doing the energy healing work. I did it, but it was kind of one of those things where somebody would talk to me and be like, they were having a problem. And I'd be like, you know what? Why don't you just come over? Let me just put you on the table, girl. Now I do that energy healing session. Not send them on their way. And they would be like, wow, I'm like, this is phenomenal. I never thought to do this before. And I feel so great and so light. And that was how it was for the better part of almost a year. That's how I was doing it. Completely no money involved. And we started end of April. From April to June, I had sold 2 6-month contracts with clients.
Yeah.
I had, I went and did a workshop for a yoga studio. And of that yoga studio, over 60% of the class came in and actually had healing sessions done with me. I put together my first workshop, which was May meditation, which I did for free online just to kind of see, test out my workshop that I was putting together, which I'll be rolling out later on this year. So, which was another win for me, because when we actually started with the free group, I absolutely hated Facebook Live. Like I really like the idea of getting out there and doing a Facebook Live. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I think people that do that are really vain and just feel like they need the world to see them. They want to be out front and folks need to know who I am. You know, and that was how I felt about Facebook Live. And then it was like going through that free group with you and you starting to say, but no, this is why you need to do it. This is what you're setting yourself up for. This is how people get to know who you are as a person. This is how they get to identify with your personality, you know, how you operate, how you live in integrity, and all of these other things. They can't know that unless they're seeing you, unless you're out there, unless you're putting yourself out there. And so, you know, just thinking of, you know, turning that light switch on and changing my thought process on that was wonderful. So, you know, and I was trying to do it a little bit with my morning mantras, but not nearly to the scale of what I've been able to do with that since working with you. So,
no, absolutely. And just a little segue, but it was something that was taught in the group. What about the actual sales conversation? Because if I'm not mistaken, when you first started, you would either do maybe like 2 or 3 sessions, or I think your longest contract was, it wasn't longer than 3 months. And so you transition to having more extensive packages, and you transition to having a different set of comfort when it came to doing sales. What transitioned that for you?
It was really the idea of being okay with charging for the service. That when I had to really sit down and actually, because you gave us an exercise and we actually had to sit down and think about everything that we do as it relates to a client or a service that we're offering, and then translate that into the number of hours or minutes that you're actually spending doing that to see how much you're actually making. After you've deducted all your expenses and everything out, how much you actually making per hour. And when I did that exercise and I looked at it and I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing a whole lot for this 2 or 3 hours. I was reading with the client. I really need to charge more for that. So there was that. And then there was two, you came back and you said, do the research, and don't get so focused on, what other people are charging, because they may very well not be charging enough for their services, but do the research, see what's out there. And I had to do that. I really had to do that. I mean, I was talking with a friend of mine who was getting some fitness coaching. So she has a personal trainer. Personal trainer's charging $70 an hour. I was charging $35 an hour for my one-on-one yoga sessions with people. And I'm like, how is yoga any different than fitness coaching?
Exactly.
How is that any different? And it's not. So, completely change those prices and up those charges to $75 an hour for my one-on-one sessions with clients.
And people didn't bat an eye because you the shiznit.
Nope, didn't even bat an eye. And in fact, like my first contract was a 6-month contract, and I sold it for $400 for 2 sessions a month. So they ended up really coming out to the 6 months, and it wasn't even 6 months. It was 1, 2, 3, 4 months, 400. So it ended up being $50 a session, which I discounted because she got a 4-month package for me. So, but she didn't blink an eye. She paid me on the spot. And I was thinking to myself, that was the first time I came back in the group and I was like, damn it. August said this. She said that first time you do this and somebody pays you without blinking, you're going to be, damn, I should have charged more. And that was it. That was it for me.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I love it. I love the way that you progressed and changed. So somebody out there is like, damn it, August is so real. She's so raw in your face, but I'm still skeptical. What do you tell the fence riding folks that are contemplating working with me, but still have not made a concrete decision? Shame on them.
Oh, shame on you. Shame on you. Do it. Jump in head first, jump in yesterday. And here's why. You can have somebody who's going to be soft and gentle with you, and they're going to tell you everything you want to hear, and you're not going to get anywhere with your business. What you need is somebody that's going to tell you, hey, you have it you have it all wrong, and let me tell you why you have it all wrong. And this is not me being mean. This is me doing what I need to do to show you that you are valuable in your business, and that you need to do these steps to get there. And I can be soft and fluffy about that. You can get a coach who's going to be soft and fluffy about that, or you can get a coach that's going to give you the foundation that you need to build your business. And here's the other thing about working with you. It's not, you feel as if you have somebody there that's your friend, that's helping you and holding your hand and carrying you along the way, especially on those times where you feel like, I really just do not want to do this anymore. I think I'm changing my mind. I'm not even confident in the space of wanting to do it. I didn't get to that point, but me holding off on wanting to start and wait until August, I mean, I would have missed out on $6,000 if I had waited till August. So, and that was just in May, June, July.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I had held off until August, I would have lost $6,000. I didn't know that at the time, but because I was willing to take that jump to work with you. The other thing too is I know that the conversations that I've had with you one-on-one were held in strict confidence. I didn't have to worry about my business being in the group or being in the street or anything like that. When we had our one-on-one conversations were one-on-one conversations. Even though we exposed a lot of ourselves in the group,
Right.
it was by choice to expose it in the group. You didn't have to expose it in the group. You could have just, come to you and say, hey, can we take this offline and have a one-on-one? And you were totally willing and available to do that for us. Your knowledge level and I say this again because I have gone through, let me count how many coaching opportunities I've had. I've done 5 different one-on-one sessions with potential coaches, and I would say all of the sessions have been between an hour and 2 hours long. And just in our first conversation, where we spent probably about an hour and a half talking, I got more out of that hour and a half than I did in 5 coaching conversations with 5 other coaches. So you don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to get the information that you need to help you grow.
That's it, people. Well, I just put my last 2 cents on this. And number one, thank you again for being willing to do the testimonial, because people do need to know. I don't like to focus on the negative. I like to stay on the positive. But the reality is that there are a lot of gimmicky things that are out there in the coaching arena. It's either you love it or you hate it. And I just want everybody to know, I tell people all the time, I'm in the thick of it with you, level coach. I will get down in the trenches. I will get down in the mud. I will cry, yell, holler, scream, cuss with you.
Oh, man. And let me tell you, she can morph into any client, any potential client, morph into that person. And the Academy Award goes to August Crenshaw. Like I enjoyed those one-on-one potential coaching sessions where you were trying to get us to close the sale. So when you teach how to close the sale, you actually go hard on that. And I just would sit there and watch you just become this person. And create these answers out of thin air, and then we would try to close the sale, and then you would be like, it would be that moment, you'd be like, okay, let's stop right there. And then you would be like, let me tell you what you did right, what you needed to do, what I was looking for in my questions that I was sitting out there to you, and you would break it down, and I would be sitting there like, wow, how does she take my business? Okay, here's another one. Okay, I'm just coming up with all these ones, right? When we actually had to write our first long post, and you know how I felt about writing that long post. I'm like, who's going to read this? No one's going to read this long post. I don't have time for this. I'm going to do a short one.
So rebellious, y'all.
Yes. So how you would come back and read what we had written and be like, look, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? How about say this? How about do this? Think about this. Think about that. Think about this. And it's like 15 minutes later, you'd be like, I don't think my pen can write fast enough. Like, where is she coming up with this stuff off the top of her head like this? So, like I said, the knowledge base is by far none fabulous.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was fabulous. So
thank you. Yeah, but just to clear it up, I know most people probably aren't confused, but one of the things we did in the group, and I didn't just teach sales, I did sales simulations. And so if I needed to be a depressed person that needed life coaching, a person in pain that needed some healing, a confused person that needed a new website, it didn't make a difference. Whatever client I needed to be, I simulated that, and at the same time was in my coaching mode, like, yeah, would I close? No, yeah, keep pushing. And so, yeah, it was fun. But I love doing that because, as a matter of fact, this part, people probably be like, okay, what are we watching? But it's neither here nor there. I remember the one call where I did with Rosa, and she was like, wait a minute, hold up. Did I tell you that about me? Because I had to pretend like I saw her at an event, and I was just going off her vibe. And I was like, yeah, I just felt like this ever since such and such and such. And she was like, no, hold up. I need a break. How do you know that about me? I'm like, I know. But I definitely give all props of that to the divine. I do. I give that to the divine. But yeah, but that was fun. I love that. And so yeah, I was a drama queen. Tears, laughter, silliness. I was stuck up, stuffy, professional hood. It didn't make a difference. So yeah, I definitely I'm hoping that they will, go ahead and give me my Oscar, but it's a gift. So you guys look, quit waiting, stop stalling, stop playing. Your success is on the other side of that jump. It's on the other side of that jump. And what I loved about you and the other women in that group is that all of you were no nonsense. You were non-negotiable about your dreams. Whether our timetables matched up or not, the point is you knew that you wanted to do your business. And so I am created for the non-excuse driven woman. You're not an excuse driven woman. And so if you're watching this video and you know that you will do what it takes, all you needed to hear was that I have what you need to give you. So I encourage you to reach out while the applications are still free. If you're watching this at this time in your lifetime and it is free, get your free session, have an opportunity to talk with you, and let me hear about your business. I think that's the biggest thing that most of you aren't getting. You're hearing people where they're talking to you about their processes. I spent more time talking to each woman in that program about their business, about their vision, about their desires, because I need to know what you're doing, what you're selling, why you want to do it, to know if I can meet you at your core. I don't need to tell you that I got 12 phases in my course and what I believe I'm the expert in doing, because at any given time, part of being a good coach and being a good leader is being able to transition with the people. And so that's the difference that you guys should have. You should be raising the bar of expectation that someone wants to know who you are, that someone wants to know what your desires are, not that they can brag and say, oh yes, and I've used this on hundreds and millions and thousands of people, and so I just want to pull you into my thing and drop you into this container and you make your shit fit in my shit. I don't want to do that. I want to help you blossom into the woman you're supposed to be. So thank you, Miss Tiffany. I appreciate you dearly.
Thank you.
Namaste. Oh.